Yahweh Shem Yahushai, Shalom to the house of David, the 144,000 Be'af Dawadah, and the one-third men, women, and children as part of the elect. All you blacks, Latino, Native Americans today, and Israelites scattered in four corners of the earth. There's confusion of faces. And I speak the different tongues that's going to come back to the fold as part of the elect, the remnant, the church. Basically, over here is a lunar eclipse, a snow moon, and a comet that will appear on Friday. Basically, this is astrological celestial events. It's a 3-in-1 that's going to happen starting Friday night. And I believe one of the events, it starts at 7. 7 means completion. And 3, because we brought that out earlier through the spirit. Where the scriptures also talk about the sun, the moon, the stars, talk about the wisdom, knowledge, understanding. And it's 3 coincided in 1, which 3 means understanding. The number 3. We're going to bring that out because this is all signs. Just like the Lord was born in the star in Bethlehem of the 3 wise men. So that was a sign. So all these things are signs from heaven, man. Like it says in Genesis 1st chapter, man. It said the Lord made the heavens for what? Signs. For things to come, seasons, omens, man. Those are signs. Matthews 21 and 25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. Here you're going to have a comet, a snow moon, and a lunar eclipse. Those are signs in the heavens. Which these devils worship that. That's why scriptures say, don't be dismayed by the signs of heaven, because these heathens are dismayed at them. Here it is, I think, the astrological event. They connected it with Leo and all that shit, man. Which all that is off anyway, because there was originally 13 zodiacs. Which we don't get into the zodiacs. Nobody has the wisdom, knowledge, understanding of that. You know, completely of the heavens and all that. We lost that. The Aztecs, when you read up, tribe of Issachar had that gift of reading the heavens. We're going to bring that out. Matthew 21:25. And there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves of roaring. All hell's about to break loose in America. Men's hearts failing them for fear, and for the looking of those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And they shall see the Son of Man, Yahushai, the King of Kings, coming in the cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption is nigh. And our redemption is nigh, man. Very, very nigh. You know. Matthews 24 and 30. And there shall be signs, shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and there shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And Yahushua is at the door, man. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the earth of heaven to the other. So these are all signs, man. It's gonna be more astrological events, more celestial events, you know. You have the 4 blood moons. You know, all these are signs. And these devils, they have the satanic priests that they go into that. Because that's their wisdom, knowledge, understanding on the left-hand side. That's the vibe that they go into. Because they're on the left hand. You know, they're heathens. They're not the chosen. But the Lord made that for signs for us to know the new moon, which that's the word month, is the moon, goes by the moon. Signs and seasons. You know, omens of what to do. Issachar, the Aztecas, they used to read the heavens. That was their gift. We're going to play the clip.
The full moon appears every month in our sky, a sight so familiar that we often take it for granted. But about twice a year, over the course of a few hours, the full moon sports a decidedly different look. What causes this sudden change? A lunar eclipse occurs when the moon passes through the Earth's shadow, just as a solar eclipse occurs when part of the Earth passes through the moon's shadow. But the moon circles the Earth every month as it cycles through its phases, lining up at both full moon and new moon. So why don't eclipses happen twice a month? The reason is that the moon's orbit around the Earth is tilted relative to the Earth's orbit around the sun. Although the Earth and the moon always cast long shadows, they rarely shade each other thanks to the moon's orbital tilt. But if that's the case, why do eclipses happen at all? Throughout the year, the moon's orbital tilt remains fixed with respect to the stars, meaning that it changes with respect to the sun. About twice a year, this puts the moon in just the right position to pass through the Earth's shadow, causing a lunar eclipse. As the moon passes into the central part of the Earth's shadow, called the umbra, it darkens dramatically. Once it's entirely within the umbra, the moon appears a dim red due to sunlight scattered through the Earth's atmosphere. In fact, if you watched the eclipse from the surface of the moon, you'd see the sun set behind the entire Earth, bathing you in a warm red glow. Back home, you'll have to stay up late to watch a lunar eclipse, but if you do, you'll see the moon in rare form, and you'll catch a brief glimpse of our own planet's long shadow.
It was the devil, man. They wish they wish to be gods, man. You know, they wish to be gods. But these are all signs of the times that we're living in, man. You have a lot of astrological celestial events. You know, there was one event that they had the 4 blood moons, which that wasn't gonna happen for some time. Which the blood moon happened in 1492 with Columbus. You know, there's not a coincidence why they do certain events on astrological events on certain alignments and planet alignments. Like you had Christopher Columbus, was it 1492? That night that he destroyed the Taínos, he visited Hispaniola Dominican Republic. It was the night of a blood moon, a red moon. Then you had 1948 when these Jewish devils took the land of Israel, showing you before these devils do anything, these Rothschilds leave, they have seances and inaugurations and ask Satan for permission to do what they do. Their God, you know, their God. You know, you had that 1948 they took the land. Then in 1967 they made Jerusalem a state, which that was another blood moon. Which these devils go into that, man. Certain astrological events, but we're not dismayed by the signs of heaven. But the heathen, which are them, they're dismayed by that. Why? Because they worship the celestials and make them gods and worship the sun, just like the ancient Egyptians, the Babylonians, all these different heathens. When they ruled, they always worship the heavens, which the Masons go back to worshiping as above, so below. That statement, that actually, well, ancient Egyptians believed that also. That if they imitated the celestials and the planets, that they would get power from up above, and they would be like gods. And they even named the sun god Ra. You know, different planets. These Jewish devils, Saturn. You know, which all that goes back to the worshiping of Saturn and the rings around Saturn. Which these devils, man, that whole 7 building, I believe it was Building Solomon that went down in World Trade Center. It was a number 7 building, which means completion. And they didn't even get hit by airplanes, they got imploded. Which all those buildings got imploded anyway. But on that, there was an astrological event too. These devils do certain events and certain astrological, according on the astrological alignment and what the demons tell them. They react on earth and manifest it on earth because Satan gives them gifts too. Look at it. The Rothschilds, at least, they got the what? They got the world. Their blessing was the sword. You know, with bloodshed. That's how Esau and the Rothschilds, the Edomites, that's how they got the whole planet Earth, man. You know, with bloodshed. First Chronicles 12:32. And the children of Issachar, right, the Mexicans, Aztecas, which were men that had understanding of the times, and to know what Israel ought to do. The heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their command. So they would read the heavens, man. You get the whole Aztec calendar, you know, the Mayans, the Aztec calendar, which the Aztecas and the tribe of Zebulon, the Aztecas and the Central Americans, they was mingling amongst each other anyway, you know. Even the tribes were mingling amongst each other. But the Aztecs had the gift of that, man, reading the heavens, you know, the longitude and latitude and all that. You know, if you look at the Mayans, they have 365 steps. You know, in the spring equinox, a snake, a serpent appears. You know, according to the different signs, different changing of the seasons, the transition of the seasons. Certain shadows would appear. They will mimic the heavens and put it down on earth and do the calculation, mathematics, and all that. They get that. They get that's a gift that the Lord gave them, man. You know, that's a gift that the Lord gave them, man. But we at that time, even though they were doing on the left hand side, because we're not supposed to be worshiping the sun, which they would do. They do human sacrifices, blood sacrifices. We just talk about that in Deuteronomy 18. Pass their sons and their fires, sacrifice their sons in their fire, sons and daughters through the fire. Divinations and all that. They would give their children over to Satan, their gods, sacrificing them, man, burning them at the stake, doing the wickedness, man. They showed you in the Apocalypto. They would sacrifice people on top of the pyramids, you know. Certain eclipses. And by matter of fact, I believe there was a scene in Apocalypto when there was a lunar eclipse. Somebody was being sacrificed on top of a pyramid. They would eat their heart and shit, like real demonic, evil shit. That's why the Lord sent judgment. He sent his whipping stick Esau on our people, man, because our people are wicked, man. So you try better repent and get your souls right. And we at the time of the Purim too, man. Purim is Saturday, and this is happening around that time, man. You know? And the Passover is coming, which Passover is bloodshed, man. It's a heavy, heavy time. Heavy, heavy vibration, man. Beginning of a new year. And all that, man. And it even showed you in the breakdown of it. It happens twice a year. You know? It's like the beginning, a new beginning. Which we're at the new beginning, which is the new year. We're approaching the new year. The real new year, man. Around the springtime, man. Life spring forth on earth. That's the beginning of, not the dead of winter, man. When the bears come out of hibernation. When the trees start blossoming, man. The flowers blossom. When life forms on earth, man. When the spring's on earth. That springtime is the real new year, not the dead of winter, man. The Israelites better repent, look up, for your redemption is nigh. Repent, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Yahweh Shai is on his way.